This violet sky, I've seen it before. It turns truth into lies. Oh, but I won't back down. I must stay on this road. I gotta know what I'm about. It goes up and turns back down. We're all looking for the moment when we're getting used to not knowing when all the pieces fall in line. Oh, it goes up and turns back down. I keep searching for signs in my dreams back then, and I don't know how to stop. 'Cause it brings back the feeling that I can't reach the top now, even if I don't know how. It brings back the feeling that even if it all goes down, in the end I'll be alright. It brings back the feeling. Yeah. It brings back the
All right, we are live. Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Milligan. Hope you are doing well. Let me know who is with us today. I'm excited to be here. This is a special kind of kickoff to 2021 where we're going to be doing Live Your Passion all week long. I'm going to be bringing on some amazing entrepreneurs to inspire you, to encourage you, and we're going to be talking with people who already have built successful businesses through their writing, speaking, teaching, and coaching. And also we're going to bring on some people who are in the trenches right now as we speak. But go ahead and let me know your first name, where you're watching from in the chat right now. And we're going to be bringing on our first guest in just a moment. A dear friend of mine, excited to introduce you to him if you don't know him, and that'll be coming very soon. Just checking on everything. Looks like everything is working and coming in. So again, guys, just tell me your first name, where you're watching from. We're currently broadcasting this in 6 different locations online, whether you're catching us on YouTube live right now, or maybe you are tuning in on one of our Facebook groups or over on Twitter, wherever you're at. Go ahead and say hello. So I'm going to say hello to a few people here. We got Jim here from Indiana. Welcome, Jim. Glad that you're here. Michelle is hanging out from Maine. So glad that you're here. I'm in Florida. It's a little bit warmer right now, although we kind of woke up to it being a little cold, but I'm sure most of the people in the north would say that I'm just probably been in the south too long, right? Too spoiled. I'm sure it's going to get up to probably into the 70s today. So you don't think 30s are cold, right? Or 20s? Yeah, probably not. Okay. Didn't think so. It doesn't really get in the 20s here, maybe the 30s. So anyway, let us know that you are here, and so we can say hello to you today. So we got Michelle. She's just right down the road here, Ormond Beach. Glad that you are hanging out as well. Barbara is here from Houston, Texas. CJ's here from Boston. And I'm not sure who this is because it doesn't really give me the name. If you're in a Facebook group, it doesn't show me the name in my software, I guess for privacy reasons, but you can give us permission, but you can tell us your first name. But this is somebody from New York, had their second snowfall already. So awesome. Well, here's what we're going to be doing this week. This week, I'm excited to come to you live. These are very casual conversations. You can grab a cup of coffee and come join us, grab a notebook. But every day, Monday through Friday this week, at 1 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be going live. So if you're over on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe. And that way you'll be reminded. You hit the notification bell and you'll be reminded as soon as I go live. And also over on Facebook as well. We will get this out into the email list as well. But I just want to come here live with you today and pop in. Do some casual conversations. Listen, 2020 was a challenge for a lot of us, but 2021 presents tremendous opportunity. Regardless of what happened in the past, your future's not been written yet. And so let's kick off 2021 living out our passion. Listen, living your passion is not easy. It takes hard work, it takes time, And that's why I wanted to bring on some people at different levels of success to be an encouragement to you, regardless of where you are right now. So I see Rich is here, Joey's here, many, many more of you. I'm so glad that you guys are here. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring Kary into the room. So let me do a little bit of finagling here. And here we go. 1 second. Pop over here. And then I'm going to add Kary in. And hold on, Kary. I've got...
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I've got an adjustment here. 1 second. That should clear it up. Kary,
Fantastic.
welcome, my friend. So glad that you are here. Thank you for giving us a few minutes today to talk about this important subject, just getting started, about living out your passion, living your calling. I can think of no better person to kick this off than somebody like you. If you guys don't know Kary, and by the way, go ahead and say hello. Let us know that you can hear Kary okay in the chat.
Test 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're just here live. This is live interaction here. So I can hear him loud and clear. Hopefully you guys can as well. And looks like everything's good to go. So I actually met you, Kary, a few years ago. It was a mutual friend of ours, Chad Allen, and he said, you got to know this Kary guy. And immediately he told me about you've written several books, but at the time for me, it was Day Job to Dream Job. And I got that book. And even though I was already full-time doing my thing, I should have brought it over. It's over in my library. I had so many markings in that book. I'm like, Kary, like, lives and breathes me. Like, he understands me. And I wish I would have had that book when I first got started as well. And since then, I mean, you've written some great books, both fiction and nonfiction. Your brand new book, Unhackable's been out, and great reviews on that. And so I'm really, really excited to have Kary here. Kary, welcome.
Hey, it's great to be here. And as long as you can hear me, that's great. There's a little delay on my screen, but you sound perfect. So awesome.
Perfect. Well, delay's probably going to happen in the internet, I'm sure, but you're coming through loud and clear, my friend, and everything sounds good. So I want to kick things off. And, this week, it's really about kind of living your calling, living your passion. And, like you and I both teach to our communities, this isn't something that happens overnight, but this is a real thing. It is a real thing that you can share experiences, your stories, make an impact, share your knowledge with other people, and build a business with that. And so maybe take a minute for those people who don't know and tell us a little bit about what your business is about and who you serve.
So my business is Igniting Souls, and we are wrapping up a new rebrand for Igniting Souls Publishing Agency. So over the years, I've written books and then leveraged them into 18 streams of income. And I know you're passionate about that too, how to turn content and repurpose it, or even pre-purpose it before you even begin creating it. So we are essentially taking thought leaders, and they usually want to come and do a book. But then besides the book, we can do courses, keynote speeches, masterminds, and really we are an agency now where we create multiple streams of income and impact for those people. But I'm in the trenches myself. I'm an author, so I don't just teach it, I also do it. And it's just great to have so many amazing people alive and awake today.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love about what you've done is, especially we share a similar passion for like taking a single message and then figuring out ways to create multiple values beyond just the book, right? The book's
Yes.
it's a place, and it's it's a thing that people can read and kind of bring, get started in your world. But most authors aren't making their money and a living off a book. And
That's right.
it's about
That's
everything
right.
else, right?
Yeah, Apple, one of the most valuable brands on planet Earth right now, has what they call an integrated product suite. So your Apple Watch connects with your iPhone, which connects with your MacBook Pro and your iPad. In other words, it's software and technology that basically is integrated so you can experience Apple in many different ways. Well, it's the same way that our books should be as authors. They shouldn't just be able to consume our message in one version, i.e., an audiobook or a physical book. They should be able to consume that via a conference, which I know you've leveraged, masterminds, courses, immersion experiences, content marketing via blogs, podcasts. So we live in a day and age where if you are only limiting yourself to one vehicle to experience your content, you're going to have limited income, but also limited impact. And I've heard for years people say your book is just a business card. I highly disagree. Business cards don't change lives, books do. And the
Yes.
way that you turn that book into a business, that's where you're really going to start to experience freedom, finances, and fulfillment.
I love that. And this is so important. You don't build it overnight, but know that there's so much more than just, creating the book, right? I know for me, probably the most fascinating thing for me is when I first started doing in-person events, which right now, a lot of us aren't doing it. We're being creative with it. But one of my very first in-person events, somebody that actually I met two or three people at the event. It was the first thing they ever purchased from me. They never bought a book. They never bought a course.
Mm.
Never got into my membership site. But it was like, wait a minute, you're doing an event? They're an event person. Some people are book reading
Yes.
people. Some people are course takers. Some people are event people, right? And so by providing these different learning modalities, you're going to attract different people. And so that's why it's a smart strategy over time.
Love it.
Okay, so tell people a little bit how you got into the business, a little bit of the backstory, if you would. I know there's a lot there, but obviously you got started from somewhere,
Hmm.
and I think it'd be an encouragement to people to hear some of that.
Yeah. So I started out as a pastor and I wanted to impact people. I wanted to change lives. And my dad was a pastor, and I just kind of thought, pastor is the thing that's the way to go. So I did that, and very quickly I realized that as I was creating sermon series, in fact, this is my first book ever, Journey Toward Relevance, relevant books way back in 2004.
Wow.
And I created a sermon series about how to be in the world, but not of the world. And we know a lot of people watching who are pastors, maybe you preach it and then you're done. And then you got to preach something else the next week and then something else the next week. And you are a content creator. We all are. We all are content creators. But as a pastor, I thought, I put all that time, work, and effort into a sermon. I wish that could go and impact more people. So with some thinking and consideration, I realized I had to overcome that self-limiting belief. I never have been a published author. I don't know how to write a book. And once I overcame that, I started getting emails from all over the world saying, "Dear Kary, you don't know me, but I read your book and it changed my life." And I thought, oh my gosh, this is powerful. And then the question comes, Jonathan, about, well, I could never make a living off my books. And that was the self-limiting belief. And if you have self-limiting beliefs, folks, welcome to the club. I'm glad you're here because they never go away. They just get bigger. You play a bigger game and then they get even bigger. But the thing is that I took that book and I started turning it into other income streams. And then people started getting coached by some of my content, Your Secret Name and Deeper Path and Day Job to Dream Job. And they said, how are you doing this? And here's the big aha for people. Anytime you have multiple people ask you how you're doing something, that's a big sign that there's a business because A, you have perceived credibility. B, there's a need in the marketplace for you. And C, you just got to learn how to position it and leverage it to create income. So that's what I did. Rather than be the guy who wrote books and turned them into 18 streams of income only, I wasn't a bestseller. So I didn't have all these big checks coming in. But clients started coming to me. And after I turned a bunch of them away and said, it's too complicated, I realized that a framework is a solution broken down into simple steps. And everybody here has a framework for everything they do in life, even brushing their teeth. You need to say to your former stuck self, because that's where I think a lot of authenticity comes from, is what did you try to figure out to do yourself? Was it eat healthy? Was it decorate a house the right way? Is it educate your kids? Whatever obstacle is the way, in the words of Ryan Holiday or Marcus Aurelius, whatever obstacle is the way becomes the way. That is the way out. And Jonathan, I want to encourage people, you don't need to be a sage. You don't need to be the person who's conquered everything. You can position yourself as a sage, a Sherpa, or a struggler. And any one of them wins. Tony Robbins positions himself as a sage, and he's winning. Donald Miller in Blue Like Jazz positioned himself as a struggler, and he won and built a tribe. But you can also position yourself as a Sherpa, which is what you do and what I do. We say, hey, I did struggle climbing up the mountain, but I found a shortcut. Let me come back down and I'll show you the way. The sage is at the mountain and never leaves. The Sherpa comes down the mountain to help people back up. And the struggler has never gone up the mountain, but they're saying, hey, I'm willing to admit that there is a mountain and come with me on the journey. So either one, you can be successful.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so good because we all feel that imposter syndrome. It's part of the reason why I wrote the whole first part of the book, Your Message Matters, was believing you have a message. Because you probably run into this all the time, is we can teach all the marketing tactics and all the tips and the strategies and the plan, and here's how you repurpose things. But if you don't fundamentally believe that you have a message to share and that what you have to share is valuable to somebody else, you'll never do
That's right.
any of the marketing tech. You'll never write the book. You'll never do any of that. It's like you got to start there. And so I love that. What do you think was one of the biggest challenges you faced? And I know as I get into this longer, I start forgetting what it was like when I was just getting started. I can still remember some things, but I mean, looking back, what were some of the big challenges, either mindset or didn't know how to do something?
I remember sitting with my friend David in a car outside Panera, and I was still a pastor, and I was thinking of, hey man, I wonder if I could do this full time someday. And I started crunching the numbers about what I made and health insurance and education for the kids and expense account, even as a suburban pastor. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never replace that income. I mean, that is so much money. How could I ever replace that? And I remember thinking, I'm a prisoner. And that's really the book that Day Job to Dream Job came out afterwards. But a prisoner is someone who has no choice. They don't decide where they go or when they can leave, these types of things. Well, guess what? Most people's jobs give those same impressions. And so people literally feel like they're in a day job prison. And when I watched Shawshank Redemption, after I had kind of broke free from my day job, I said, oh my gosh, that movie is so relevant as a metaphor for how people are in their Shawshank and how they need to go from prison to plan to payoff, from Shawshank to Zihuatanejo. And that's what the book is about. It's about 9 steps for creating your own escape plan from day job jail. And it's not super sexy. It's hard work, meaning I don't agree with the person who says, I'm just going to go in and tell my boss I'm done. And then I'm just going to create something. I encourage people to do that side hustle that you often talk about, which is while you're in your day job, be the best employee you can, keep your integrity, and build a side hustle, which will create the disciplines of prioritization and marketing and self-belief. And as you do that, your muscles get strong, right? Your courage. And then you can make the shift as opposed to just, some people do get laid off and they have to go, and that's fine. But I like the side hustle strategy.
I do too, and I'm a big fan of it because, and that's what I love about what we help people with, whether it's writing books or teaching, coaching, speaking, whatever it is. That a lot of this can be done on the side. Like
Yes,
you go, I remember when I first started blogging, it was like I'm being a thought leader, but I was working a day job at the time. It was 100% commission, so I couldn't just like do my day job uh, in the middle of my workday. I had to choose to do it early in the morning, on the
yeah,
weekends. But the cool part was that I started building an audience because my website was open 24/7. So while I'm at my day job, here people are reading or consuming content of mine
that's great.
that doesn't require me to be present. And that's why
That's
it's a
great.
beautiful side thing to start, where it's much different if you decide to go buy a franchise and you want to open up a retail store. You want to
Mhm.
do, it's like you got to go all in and cross your fingers, buy all the
Yep.
inventory. So that's why I love this. I know you're passionate about this as well. Why do you think it's important for yourself or for people to live their passion, like to this is a different thing, like
Yeah.
everybody who's
I-
gathering here right now, everybody who's watching what we're doing right now, they desire to do something that work that like ignites them. And I know with
yes.
igniting souls, that's something that you're passionate about, is is turning that mess into a message, or turning that thing that you have that means so much more at a soul level than maybe this soul sucking job that you might be in currently. And there's certainly nothing wrong with people
Mhm.
who do a traditional 9 to 5. We're not saying
Yeah.
everybody needs to do what we're doing, but the people that are watching here, they're probably a lot like us. They just want something more from their work and their contribution and their influence.
Yeah. The word entrepreneur is bearer of risk. So it's one who bears risk. And it was first coined uh, many hundreds of years ago, but it was talked about bringing something of a lower value to something of a higher value.
Mm.
And there comes freedom with that, but there comes choice and responsibility. In fact, I'm really big into practical things. So I just want to encourage people. When I lived as a day job, I was a victim. I'm not saying all people are victims, but a victim is one who says the world happens to me. So the elder board happens to me. My senior pastor happens to me. My permissions, they happen to me. My salary happens to me. Like what that does is it creates the conditions, what we say, of someone who lives in bed, blame, excuses, and denial. And that was me. If you would have met me back then, I would have said, "Oh, what's your biggest problem?" Well, it's my senior pastor because he won't let me do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And it sounds very victimish, blame, excuses, and denial. A victor, which I think you have to be as an entrepreneur or a good entrepreneur, there's someone who says, "I happen to the world." In other words, Jonathan, you created this amazing market your message, 1 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern. Nobody told you to do that. You are going to benefit from the reward and the risk. So what you did is you had to put your oar in the water, ownership, accountability, and responsibility, and metaphorically move forward. So everybody, they have those two choices every single day. A 9 to 5 does not mean you are a victim, but it does create conditions where you can be a victim easier because you do punch the clock. You do just work there. Your income often isn't tied to results. It's tied to showing up.
Mm.
And when you're an entrepreneur, that doesn't cut it. The other thing is that in the back of my books, I put this little chart, which is igniting souls, and essentially says that we are each born with 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? Who am I as identity? Why am I here as purpose? And where am I going as direction? Most people today on this training, they might be with identity. Who am I? And once they understand who they are, they immediately take their eyes off themselves because now that's figured out. And they say, well, what's my purpose? In other words, they become other centric. So the first step is, who am I? And that's where a lot of people are. And when you're saying, who am I, by the way, people don't pay you. So identity is fine to work on, but that's not where people start paying you because you haven't created value. You make the income shift when you go from who am I to why am I here, which then you start creating value in the marketplace. Then the question is, once you are, why am I here? And that's clear. You start saying, why am I in the job that I'm in?
Yeah.
Because you start saying, you know what? I wish I could do this full time because I love it and passionate about it. So a soul on fire is someone who understands those three things: identity, purpose, and direction. The opposite of that is what Carl Jung said when he asked the question, what's the most damaging thing in the life of a parent? Sorry, the life of a child. He said, what's the most damaging thing in the life of a child? And in all of his research, Swiss psychologist, he said it was the unlived life of the parent.
Mm.
So the parent who says, I don't know who I am, I don't know why I'm here, I don't know where I'm going, or kids don't bug me, let me veg out, veg short for vegetable, brain waves are dead, let me be brain dead so that I can go back at it tomorrow again. That's the most damaging thing in the life of a child. So the opposite of that is true. What's the most life-giving thing to a life of a child? The lived life of the parent. So I believe that you whether you have kids or not, you're being looked at by young people. So to me, this is a big calling that we're talking about today.
Absolutely, and you made such a great point, and I think we forget that when we take courage, we give other people permission to have courage. Like our courage pushes them to take courage, right? And so that's so good. I remember being a high school teacher, and both my parents were educators growing up. And so my mom was an elementary teacher, my dad was a high school teacher and basketball coach. And so I was 3 years in and miserable, and I felt guilty for it because I'm like, teaching's a good profession. I genuinely love the kids. I love coaching basketball. But for some reason, there's some unsettled desire tugging at my heart and my soul that tells me I'm supposed to be doing something else and I don't know what it is.
Yes.
And for a while, I felt guilty for it until finally my wife told me, you can't sign that teaching contract to renew it. She goes, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're not going back to teaching. You're not happy. And it was like, but I got, I had a wife, I had a young child, a baby, and another one on the way.
Yep.
And it was just like the timing's not good. There's all these reasons why I shouldn't like step out and do something. And now that I've gone on the journey, what I've realized is a lot of what you're saying today is, regardless of where you are, don't feel guilty about this tugging that you're feeling, because there just may be a greater opportunity for you out there, and you need to pursue it.
Dead people feel nothing. So the fact that you feel angst, pain, confusion, that's a good sign. It means that you're alive. So I love what you're saying. And folks, lean into Jonathan's work, get his new book, because he talks about this. And, you are that Sherpa who's directing people back to answers. So I think that's fantastic. And I'm glad you invited me here today.
Yeah, and I appreciate you taking some time out. I know you got a lot going on. Let me ask you, what's next for you in 2021? Is there anything specific that you're excited about looking into the new year? Maybe it's a new initiative. Maybe it's bringing back something old that you used to do that you're doing. What's going on for you?
I think all we need to do is open our eyes and realize the world got hacked in 2020. In other words, we were going on a path and we got sidelined and sabotaged, whether it was politics, whether it was coronavirus. And so my big passion is to take Unhackable, and not just me take it to the world, but we have over 100 certified coaches now who are creating unhackable moms, unhackable marriages, unhackable students. So the message is beyond my little self, and now it's moving into society. And so I would just encourage people, if you feel like you got hacked in 2020, don't live a groundhog year. Become unhackable. And we have all kinds of things at unhackablebook.com where you can even take a free assessment and say, am I getting hacked in my dreams or life. So that's a big thing that I'm excited about.
I love that. And that's so good. And you guys need to connect with Kary and what he's up to for sure. I think, and people will be like, well, Jonathan, isn't, Kary competition? Not at all. If we are complementary. In fact, I would go as far as to say, you read his books, you read my books, and you won't see a lot of conflicting advice. There's going to be a lot of similarities there that is going to help you feel like I'm not being pulled in different directions. So I just
I love
Kary's
your
work.
faith too. Love the way that you integrate your faith in what you do as well. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah.
I
Thanks, my
appreciate
friend.
that. Hey, so real quick, kind of wrapping things up here. We see a lot of times people just they're in this waiting mode. They're sitting on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the beginning of the year, and there's a lot of things that come into our mind that hold us back from stepping forward. The economy's going to go down.
Sure.
We're going into a recession. Coronavirus. Now's not the best time to start a podcast or a blog or write a book. Maybe I should wait till. What would you say to somebody they're just in that, like, they're on the fence. They're almost ready, but they're just not yet taking action.
Yeah. Couple things. One is get busy living or get busy dying. Shawshank quote. The other thing is that you're not guaranteed, especially today. I mean, we have friends that are sick. It's like death has become a much more real thing in the last 24 hours or even 12 months.
Yeah.
So don't say is now the right time. That's a default of inaction. Say that I have a default of action and God has to stop me if it's not his will. So that's a big switch for a lot of people. A lot of people, safety is their status quo, and inaction. My status quo is action and going after it. It's a big flip, but it changes your life.
I love that. And it's so well said. Good stuff. Well, where can people connect with you? You've mentioned some books and you've got a lot of resources. Where's the best place for people to connect with you, Kary?
Well, we got a gift right now, how to turn your book into 18 streams of income at authoracademyelite.com/gift. authoracademyelite.com/gift, or unhackablebook.com. There's a bunch of free stuff. We got sermon series for pastors, how they can preach unhackable in their churches, all kinds of stuff. So thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this amazing twice a day live stream. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's cool about it is I've been able to, there were some people who I've been inspired by their stories that I wanted to feature in my book, and Kary's in there. I tell Kary's story in one of the chapters of the book. And so I think it's cool that, I have some of the people that I've told stories about who are joining me this week to make it more real to people who may have read the story in the book, but they haven't connected with the person. So thank you, Kary, for showing up and doing that. And blessings to you. Awesome. Let us know how we can support and help you. And just everybody that's watching this right now, check out what Kary's doing. Like you said, go over to would you say Author Academy?
authoracademyelite.com/gift,
GIFT, to grab that awesome resource. Awesome. Thanks, Kary, for being here.
Thanks so much. Take care. We'll see you. Bye.
All right, guys. Did you guys enjoy that? Let me know. I see a bunch of comments coming through. We really appreciate Kary stopping in and doing that. We've got another awesome interview tonight. In fact, let me look at who we've got coming up at 8 p.m. So if you're watching over on YouTube Live, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll instantly be notified on your phone when I go live. Tonight we've got Bob Loddick. So I tell Bob's story also in this book. And Bob was someone I met when I first started blogging back in the day. I actually met because I did a guest post on his site. And Bob's story is amazing if you haven't read it in the book. But Bob blogs full time. He's done it for several years. And he's done it on Christian personal finance. He's built this huge community does it full time, and he actually even landed a book deal and a book that he's working on as well for handling your personal finances. And I'm going to talk to him tonight a little bit about his story. So if you have an interest in blogging or how to land a book deal, then make sure you come back, listen about Bob's story a little bit later on. But we're going to be doing that all this week. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to be highlighting two people from our own community. These are people who are in the trenches right now. They, I'm going to be introducing stories of people who are full-time and people who are not, because I think it's important that we showcase that this is a journey. And I think it's great to like share big success stories, but I think what can happen sometimes is some of us say, well, oh, that's Kary. Kary's an amazing person. Or, oh, that's this person, they had this skill or this ability. But I want to introduce to you people this week who are from our own community, who started their blog from maybe some of my courses and content and are starting to build it, and they're still in the middle of it. They're seeing some successes, but yet they're still got ways to go, a little bit of a journey still to go before they reach full time. Wouldn't it be great to hear from them as well? So that's what this week's all about. We're going to be talking with some other amazing people. You're just going to have to stay tuned. So on Facebook, like the Facebook page, or on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will send out some more emails about these, but my goal here is to just showcase lots of different people across lots of different niches. You're going to hear from people who are trying to help in the parenting niche. You're going to hear from people who are helping people in the entrepreneurs for like retirees. You're going to hear people who do affiliate marketing and teach affiliate marketing, people who teach live streaming, people who help in restaurant owners in the middle of this coronavirus through their blog and their writing. So you're going to hear a bunch of amazing stories. I can't wait to showcase it to you guys as well. So thanks for all the kind comments. Thanks for being here today. And come back tonight, 8 o'clock. Let's learn about blogging and about Bob's story. See ya. Have a great day. Bye-bye.